Your existence is derived from how you choose to look at the world around you. Your outlook is either creating you or destroying you. And we have to be cognizant of the reasons, the explanations, the stories we tell ourselves. We have to be aware of how we rationalize everyday occurrences. We have to ask, am I seeking out solutions to the right problems? What's the root cause? What's the actual reason? And we all find ourselves in ruts from time to time, right? We all have low points. For me, when I'm struggling, it's usually creatively. Drawing a blank or writer's block or whatever the case is. And it's funny, my mind always goes right to the external excuses. Instinctually, I start to think, well, maybe I don't have the right technology, maybe I'm not in the right place, maybe the right circumstances aren't occurring. But when I force myself to step back, right, and dig deeper and really ask myself, what's the reason, which is sometimes an uncomfortable thing to ask, I always come to the same conclusion. It's not the camera in my hands or the recording software or the mic. It's simply the temporary disappearance of self-belief. Temporarily, I forget that I can make magic, that I can change the world with what I have right now, and so can you. That is the actual reason, but I have to peel back the surface. Because the truth is, if you don't have a good story to tell, a $10,000 camera is not going to help you. You gotta learn what captivates, what inspires, learn how to articulate your thoughts and ideas, learn how to bring what's in your mind to life. See, people wanna put band-aids on bullet wounds, and that's not going to fix a thing. An interesting thing people come to me with, they're building brands, creating social platforms, building businesses online, which is great because it means exposure, but it also means you're susceptible to negativity and criticism and haters. Right? And how particularly initially, it's emotionally taxing seeing that stuff, right? Seeing people criticize your creativity. And they come to resent the comments. They come to resent that interaction. But again, I always go to what is the reason? And I ask because if you don't go deep, if you don't find the root cause, you don't fix a problem. The problem is not the 53-year-old in his mother's basement trashing your work or your ability. He has nothing to do with this. The problem, when you're really honest, is confidence. It's the ability to understand that a life of no risk or criticism is a life of very little reward. And with that realization, the solution changes. It's not what can I do to avoid the criticism, it's how can I stay true to myself and have that be enough, where I can rise above chatter, where I can be indifferent to naysayers, because look, expectations don't matter. What matters is your happiness. What matters is your progress. So fix that. We spend a lot of time adjusting our sails, worried about catching the right breeze, getting the logistics right, when there's a hole in the center of the boat that's taking in water. Let's find out where that is. Let's fix that. Figure out what the actual area of improvement is. What's the actual reason for not being where you want to be? And sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's humbling, but guess what? It creates the long-term solution. Last year was one of the most challenging of my life. Spread very thin, trying to do a lot, write speeches, give keynotes, capture video, create music, make marketing content, to the point where I just felt lost for a while. And an easy escape, right? The way I rationalized it was, well, you feel like this just because you're doing too much, right? It's a great thing, you're ambitious. No, that's a mask. When I became vulnerable, when I asked myself the difficult question, when I humbled myself, dug deeper, realized that maybe you're not doing the right thing. Maybe you're doing more of what you already know, because recreating yourself is absolutely terrifying, because you need to take that next step, and subconsciously, you don't want to. You're scared to. Now I know what to address, right? Reasons help shape answers. It's not more and more and more of what's been done, but it's reshaping your life, not once or twice or 3 times, but constantly. That creates bigger targets. That changes things. Always dive deeper than the surface level, because usually your problems are not the world around you. It's not what you don't have. It's not externalities holding you back. It's a refusal to look yourself in the mirror and ask difficult questions. You are not a victim. You are equipped with every single thing you need. You just need to zero in on your actual inhibitors and eliminate them one by one. I've always said success is 3 steps. It's recognizing there's better out there, recognizing you're worthy of pursuing it and taking the leap. So what's keeping you from leaping? What's keeping you grounded? It's not money, it's not tech, it's not where you started, it's your mindset. So change how you see the world around you. Little hinges swing big doors. It's a quote by W. Clement Stone, and it essentially means that the small things we do open the door to the big things in life. Mountains are made of single rocks. Oceans are single waves. Symphonies are individual notes. Conversations are individual words. Progress is nothing more than the ability to break big things down into small things. That's it. And those manageable pieces, day in and day out, they become the roadmap to accomplish whatever it is you set out to accomplish. And I love the metaphor of a door, right? The simplicity. It's just a door. But without that little hinge, it doesn't function the same. It'd be impossible to open and close. It would be far less useful, all because of this little hinge. This trivial little thing. It's an afterthought. It's a small detail hidden behind the main attraction, which is one of life's greatest truths. We see and we celebrate the obvious things, the big things, the mountaintops. We do so to the extent that we forget the extraordinary is just a product of the tiny, uncool, unsexy, unremarkable actions and decisions. We forget what swings the door open. So why is this valuable? Well, when you personally can identify and control the little things in your life, it becomes greatly apparent that nothing is truly out of reach. All options are open. And it's not because of destiny or magic or the fact that anyone deserves anything. No, it's simply realizing that every great accomplishment occurs one step at a time, and that's all. Anyone can take a single step. Anyone can write a single word. And when you break down the greats, that's what they say, right? Kobe talks about breaking his day into consistent, measurable sessions at the gym. Schwarzenegger talks about building his body 1 rep at a time. Will Smith talks about the methodical practice, the preparation he takes 1 line at a time. These are hinges. They happen to open the door to NBA records. They open the door to, becoming the world's strongest man. They open the door to Hollywood success. And let's take it even deeper. Personally, I can identify smaller things off the top of my head that have a 10x multiplier on my day. Right? For me, there's a direct correlation between waking up early and being successful. A successful, productive, happy day. Because I jump out of bed, I feel good, and it carries through. It's a very simple equation. When I get up early, my day's better. Small thing, huge impact. Right? Or having good, healthy food in my fridge makes me feel good. It means I don't rush out to get food somewhere at the last minute. I can plan and I eat well and I feel better. Being around productive, high energy, positive people makes me perform well, period. Causes me to level up. When I remove the negativity, when I surround myself with success, I grow. When I do the opposite, I rationalize mediocrity. It's that simple. These simple things have exponential impact on my journey. They are, you could say, the smallest of hinges, and they played and continue to play a role in opening some of the largest doors I've walked through. The challenge is that, it's easy to brush them off as insignificant or trivial because they are so small. That's always been the obstacle, illuminating and quantifying their value. But when you do, when that light bulb sort of goes off, it's a remarkable transition, right? The differentiator for me between waking up at 5:30 and 8, it's not 2.5 hours. That's not the value. The value is the momentum. It's getting my first win before the world wakes up and embodying that success. At the end of the day, it's mediocrity versus growth. That's just how I am. That's how I feel. That is my tiny hinge. That is my advantage. Now, obviously, those are going to vary, right? Not everyone needs to wake up early. But I would advocate finding what makes you tick, finding that little hinge, paying attention, seeking out simple steps that have tremendous impact. Whether it's consistency, who you spend your time with, the courage to take a single step, try something new. These are seeds that often become the difference. You don't get substantial results without mastering the pieces that create the foundation. And when you remember what actually makes that door open, you put yourself in a position to walk through it. There's a saying that what you water is ultimately what grows. That where you place your attention ends up guiding your feelings, your perception, your actions, and your life. Right? Focus becomes identity. And change comes from bringing awareness to what we're focusing on. I remember when this light bulb went off for me. Like so many epiphanies, what happened during a difficult, kind of a trying time. It wasn't where I wanted to be. And I remember, sitting down and asking myself, dude, are you on your own team here? Are you helping yourself? Using the metaphor, the question was, am I watering the weeds in my life or the flowers? And by the weeds, I mean, am I allocating energy to thoughts that are detrimental to what I want? Am I keeping myself in places I don't want to be and in relationships that are counterproductive? Am I thinking about what can go wrong instead of all that can go right? Or am I watering the flowers, the positive, highlighting the possibility, the things I'm appreciative for, the seeds, the potential that can grow a mile high? See, I've always known the value in choosing to see the possibility. But the million-dollar question is, how do you remain aware? Because that's the thing about weeds, they're sneaky. They'll take control of your life without letting you know they're doing it. So I'm thinking this through and it dawns on me, this is not complex. This is simple. It's one, identifying where you want to be, and two, analyzing your actions based on those priorities, right? That's it. And so for every pillar of my life, health, relationships, career, finances, I made 2 dots. One for where I am and one for where I want to be. Everything in the middle is life. The ups, the downs, the joys, the sorrow. Everything in between is the path, the line. And it's simple. You start on point A, knowing that you can always get to point B. That what you want exists, it's there, it's available. And your attention, all of your energy should be allocated to the thoughts that reinforce that truth. That's your path, that's what you believe, that's what's important, and it's going to happen. Anything beyond or outside that line, anything that tells you you're not good enough, anything that accepts not achieving that priority, suggests it won't work out, that is where the weeds live. That is wasted space. Why exhaust that energy? Right? To think, I'm not good enough to get this promotion. How does that help you get to your point B? It doesn't. Eliminate that thought, right? Point B always exists. Just that notion pushes a lot of things to the side. You have to be good enough. You just need improvement. Maybe it's enhanced skills, maybe it's more effort, maybe it's changed approach, but tackling these things will water the flowers. It moves you along the path, and progress is happiness. Right? For me, health is a big thing. I run all the time, but I'd like to be more fit. I'd like to eat healthier. There's room for improvement, and I know it's possible because that is my point B. I know that saying I don't have time, or I don't have the right body type or genes, or trying to convince myself that fast food just this once will be okay. No, all of that stuff is watering weeds. It exists outside my path. My time should be spent realizing how incredible the human body is, taking care of it, pushing it, being proud of it, taking accountability for it. That's me. I only get one of these things, even if it's just a little at a time. That's the beauty. Simply existing on a path and revolving around your ideals, your vision, your priorities brings about joy. See, negativity, it truly is a learned thing. It's manufactured. All there are in life are circumstances. Circumstances that are neither positive nor negative, just pieces. And you decide what to do with them. Do you focus on the negative? You can. But that won't put you in a position to change your circumstances or bring about happiness. When you decide to see the opportunity, you free yourself from the shackles of fate, because destiny never put you in the situation, you did. But guess what? You can take yourself out of it. A field of sunflowers grew one root, one stem, one petal at a time. The same field that was at one point nothing more than dirt and weeds. It was always possible, and so is your ideal life. You just need to water the things that matter. We all enjoy the prospect of perfection. And everyone has an ideal outcome. We all make plans. But very rarely do they unfold as they were drawn up. Why? Well, because life is predictably unpredictable. It's mysterious. Yet for some reason, we march on toward the acquisition of a flawless existence. Scared of anything but an undamaged, untarnished, immaculate reflection staring back at us in the mirror. But in the real world, our happiness, contentment, growth, progress, they're not a product of perfection. They're built from the imperfections that we collect along the way. The trials, the tribulations. When you piece all that together like little puzzle pieces, they depict the beauty. They show the image that's always been so highly coveted. In other words, the process of rebuilding creates something more valuable than the same pieces before they were broken down, when they were untouched. In Japanese philosophy, there's a concept known as kintsugi, which is the art of repairing broken pottery with a golden lacquer. It's the idea that we don't want to hide the damage, but we want to rebuild it into something more meaningful, more valuable. Embrace the imperfect, own and cherish it. There's an old story about a tea master known as Rikyu. And he was attending a Japanese tea ceremony with one of his followers, and the follower tries to impress Rikyu by buying this fancy clay jar and making it visible during the meeting. But Rikyu never, once acknowledges it. The praise never comes. So the student, obviously upset by the lack of recognition, he pushes the jar off the counter. It falls to the floor. It breaks into a bunch of pieces. And another student ultimately repairs it using kintsugi. Right? Puts the pieces back together with a gold lacquer. And next time Rikyu attends the tea ceremony as a guest of honor, he sees the jar rebuilt and says, now it's beautiful. Now it has character. He acknowledges its value. And this story reminds us about the myth of perfection. Right? Life's not about dodging and avoiding the difficulty. It's about facing it head on. Because when we come out on the other side, we transform into something that was previously unobtainable and rise to a world beyond imagination. See, we change not by running around life's obstacles, but by running directly through them. Like a muscle being repeatedly broken down and built back up, the pain, the exhausted energy is the vehicle. The micro creates the macro. The difficult becomes the exceptional. We need the very things we're inclined to avoid. Our shortcomings, they not only precede and establish our greatness, they are our greatness. Being broken is not a tragedy, it is a step along the way. It's the beginning of something new, a launching pad, a chance to be better than you have ever been. Because look, here's the reality. If your status quo has never been shaken at its foundation, if you've never stopped and questioned the way things are, reality as it is, if you don't take risks, there will be no fragments to take and rebuild. You won't have the tools or capacity to change the world around you. And that is the thing of note. Beauty is not fearing the rebuild, it is the rebuild. It's not feeling sorry or hopeless, but hopeful. Seeing your situation for what it is, an opportunity. It is what you need, a blank canvas, your chance to make art while redrawing creative boundaries. If perfect is the goal, why take the step? Why take the chance? Why risk messing things up? It's never been about perfect. It's about picking up the pieces and rising again. Your eyes do not create, they obey. They are projectors that play the stories your mind has written. Messengers, delivering pictures you've already painted. See, you win or lose long before they open. Your outcome's decided long before they see a thing. Your outlook is not a reflection of the world around you, it's a reflection of the world within you. And I wonder how we can be so lucky as to have the opportunity to literally create our own reality, yet we position ourselves so that we're disadvantaged. We act as though the wake of the boat is more powerful than the wheel that steers it. We remind ourselves of the obstacles, instead of reassuring ourselves that we possess the ability to get around anything and everything that stops us. If we can create our own landscapes, why insert storms? If we can define our own rules, why penalize our progress? If we're capable of feats beyond our wildest dreams, why do we instruct our eyes to see stop signs? Your eyes long to see the world as it was meant to be seen. With its color, its fullness, its beauty, its perfection. Why not give them permission? See, there is no use for the negative. The downside brings you nothing. There is no value to be obtained or acquired from what doesn't push you. The solution is simple. If it doesn't make you stronger, let your eyes see beyond it. Refocus, re-examine, because I promise you the answers you need are in the same frame as the things that hold you back. The problems, they are the solutions. The opportunities, they are the risk. Life is that portrait, but it is entirely open to interpretation. See, the same people that see beauty, that find magnificence, they will always see it. They will always find it. In the downtimes, the winter periods of life, they'll feel it during the days when we look up and we wonder how in the hell these dots connect. They will run towards the chaos, find answers while others see what's not there. Eyes are the tunnel in which all that data is transferred, but understand this, it doesn't begin externally and flow into your brain. No, reality, as you know it, it starts within and is projected out, pouring into every step you take, every handshake, every time you look up and smile. You are painting the world colors that correspond to your story, your paint by number. And when you can only see the things you don't want to see, when negativity bias latches on and attempts to hold you in place, realize that you are letting the wrong info in, subscribing to what doesn't serve you. So simply change the channel, step back, and look again one more time, because you are the author of your own story. So see it as you want to. Live it on your own terms.